Is my volume level good for you guys too?
Yep.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Dude, I usually like cook this mic. I like get on it like really close. I used to do music and stuff, so like this SM58 is like grandfathered in from all the playing shows and stuff. So sorry if I get too hot. Apologize. That's the first and last time I'll ever say that. Sorry for being too hot.
Mario Brothers? I don't think Mario Brothers is on
I'll
here
ever
either.
say that. So, on the NES?
Yeah, well, like, not Super Mario Brothers, but the original Mario where they... Oh, never mind. Okay, it is.
Yeah, for sure. It's gotta be. I mean, that was like...
Well, the original one from the Atari. For the Atari, you know? Where, like, you've got the POW button and you're... Anyway.
Oh, like the arcade.
Yeah. Or, like, the game that you can play in Super Mario 3. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Oh, dude, yeah, me and my brother wrecked each other in that every day.
Yeah.
Every day. We didn't have anything to do. It was like 1995. Go outside and play. Or play Super Mario Brothers 3. Oh, BT Dubs, is there a way that I can share this on my socials?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, the Facebook one is up now if you want to share that.
Oh, sweet.
Or there's a YouTube one too.
Yeah, or you can just do brograph.com/live.
Brograph.tv.
Oh, brograph.tv.
Okay. So if I want to tweet this out, not that I frequent Twitter
Episode
too much.
132. YouTube. Right, we are live. 9 watching now. Man, you guys everyone is like, hey, here we are. You didn't even do the bat signal yet.
Well, Liam
Beat you
sent
to
it out. Liam sent it out, but he, just like you, did not put @channel, so I did it.
Dave always has a cold, G-Rant. It's a perpetual cold that he'll never get rid of. That's just the way he sounds now.
Yeah, you got to do. Yeah. No, I am actually pretty not well at the moment. Still, stupid Max on crud came back.
Oh, did
you
delete my message?
Yeah, because it didn't have @channel in it.
So?
I deleted Liam's too. If you don't, the point of the bat signal is to do an @channel. No, don't do @channel again, Liam. No, everybody just let me do the bat signal. Jeez. No,
Liam,
seriously.
dude, you need to change your picture on Slack. It's awful.
If you read the rules of this channel at the top where it says nobody post anything ever, like nobody, like seriously, I will delete everything in this channel. I'm totally serious. Or I will close the channel down. Seriously, nobody else type anything in it.
I'm going to shut this channel down. I'm going to take my ball and I'm going to go home.
The whole point is anyone who wants to get those notifications at any time, be in any time zone, subscribe.
So if I @channeled it right now, would you be mad?
The whole point is you're sending that out to everybody. Like an @channel is like annoying to a lot of people. So
there you go, Liam. See, why didn't you take your logo from your YouTube thing and put it onto whatchamacallit? Slack.
The what?
Nothing.
Are you talking about Liam?
Yeah. Brandon Clements. Is it Clements or Clements?
It's like Roger Clemens, but like put a hard T on it.
Okay, Brandon Clements.
There you go, bud.
And was it Glass Hand Studios? Or is there another thing you'd rather me go through?
So the federal government knows it as Glass Hand Films LLC, but we can talk about like how that's going to change. Officially, it's Glass Hand Studios.
Okay.
as it's more like Velvet, Glass Hand Films, like, it sounds terrible.
Right.
Glass Hand Studios, it's like easier. It rolls off the tongue. I'm just kidding. It probably doesn't.
All right, we are live everywhere, we're rolling everywhere. We're going to do a sync. And so the way we do that is I'll say 1, 2, 3, and then we clap for the
clap.
Yes.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, clap. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Yay!
We did it.
All right. And then as far as the intro goes, I will do the intro, and then Matt will intro you, and then as soon as you are introed, I'm going to do the whole spiel on what Brograph is, and then we'll get into the show.
Sounds fantastic. Dude, I know the formula. I'm just kidding. I mean, I watch you guys so much that I know. It's just fun to be on here. I can't wait.
All right, here we go. What up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph Broadcast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt. And joining us today, we've got Brandon Clements from Glass Hand Studios, or if you're the government, they are known as Glass Hand Films, LLC.
And Brograph is a supplement to our site, Brograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other MoGraph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects, plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, or working for the man. You can email us, brograph@brograph.com. We need some emails. We haven't gotten a lot of emails in a while from listeners. I know a lot of people are in Slack and stuff like that. So, we'd like to hear from you, what you think of the show, what you want to hear about on the show. So, again, brograph@brograph.com. And Brandon Clements is here. He's got a new tutorial out.
Is the music still playing in the background, Dave?
Oh, I always do that. Yeah, it's still playing.
It's all right. That won't be on the live version.
Yeah.
Is it a chill vibe? Or?
It is a chill vibe.
Okay.
So, that's always fun. So you got a new tutorial out.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Tell us what you got going on there.
Yeah, I've been sleepy on YouTube for a long time. So I think it was like 5 or 6 months or something that I didn't post. But 2017, in terms of life and work and everything, was good and bad. I had a lot of personal stuff that went on. I lost my father about a year ago. So it was just, yeah. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was just hard to get back to the social things that I was trying to figure out was render management. So I tried to convince at least anyone on the video who watched that you need this tool because it's a game changer. It was something that I, for the longest time, like I feel like I'm repeating what's in the video, but I, for the longest,
no, that's all right.
Let me just echo what I said in the video. So for me, I was just using Maya batch render back in the day, and then Cinema 4D's team render, and even before what was before team render, net render.
Oh, net render was awful.
Yeah. So you rely on those tools. Yeah, you rely on those tools, and it's good. It's there and it's good. But let's think about a dedicated tool that's managed by a company who their only focus is to make your life easier and to gather all your resources together, and let's create images very safe and efficiently. So to me, that was and to a lot of people, that's yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. But then comes networking. And if you're not an IT guy, sometimes that can be a little scary, especially if you're not into a lot of Linux guys are really good on the networking stuff. And I was talking to Simon Homemetal. He's so his pipeline is squeaky clean. It's really nice to talk to him about stuff. And so I look for those relationships for those people who I admire and just talk to, and I'm just what's your everyday like? How is it for you on the weekends? It's what's your job? What's your jobs? How are they doing on the farm? Blah blah blah. There's a lot of stuff that you can just ask simple questions. And dude, he's so super nice. He's become a close friend of mine. I'd like to think he's a close friend, and he's just super cool, and he was very helpful. So setting up deadline was a breeze once you kind of read the documentation. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people hate the manual, but dude, a good software manual these days, or else people will grill you on your forums.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, so went through that, read it heavily, and then Amazon bought ThinkBox, I think like maybe a year and a half ago. I'm not sure when they bought them, but when they did the buyout, they started working closely with AWS portals and stuff. So to me, that was just so alluring. And I know Matt and Dave, both of us, all of us have talked about like Pixel Plow and all these other render services. And I just had a job that was about 3 months long. It was a big piece for a new product for an engineering client, a big international engineering client for us. And so it was a big deal. There was a lot of people who were dedicated, who were involved, and I had to have something that was better than Team Render. I mean, nothing bad about Team Render with vanilla Cinema 4D. It's great, and it's an awesome resource, and it's easy to jump in.
When it works, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So with third-party tools, though, it's like a black box. You don't know what's happening, and so I should have dedicated more time to research before the project, but lesson learned, and now we're a lot more efficient. So I would like to think that every project I do, I learned from that, and I try to get better. So I tried to just pass on that knowledge. So I
asked you this before the show, and because I was under the assumption that Deadline was mostly just used for like, I don't know, say like Redshift or something like under engines. Is that right?
Dude, it's nutto. It's so crazy. Like I have my monitor up right now, my Deadline monitor, which is in the tutorial you'll see that's how you kind of view your jobs and designate tasks, and you just monitor everything. What a great name, Deadline Monitor. So anyways, under 2D compositing, I'll just kind of breeze through these: After Effects, Anime Studio, Combustion, Composite, Fusion, Harmony, Mocha, Natron, Nuke Frame Server, Shake, Silhouette, TV Paint, 3D. I'm not even going to go through all the 3D apps there.
That's crazy.
So, dude, and then not only that, but they have like the AEC stuff. So like for the engineers, you got AutoCAD and Keyshot, VRED, all kinds of stuff. CSI Bridge. Who knew there was a software out there called CSI Bridge? It sounds like a terrible spinoff.
Yeah.
The only crimes that happen
CSI
on
Miami, CSI Bridge.
We got to figure out what happened.
And this time, it's for real.
Totally.
Pull your sunglasses off.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Did you just do the Who? The scream? Oh my gosh. And then under processing, there's Atlas. So like, I don't even know how some of these integrate into your systems. It's like there's just all kinds of stuff here, man. And then there's like QuickTime, Media Encoder. There's all this stuff. So I mean, I want to dive in here, see if it's worthwhile, and just kind of regurgitate.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning, at least with this Deadline stuff. So what's the cost on it?
$48 a year per license.
Oh, per license. Okay, so do you have to have Deadline on each of your computers?
Yes, sir. So you have a Deadline on each workstation. What's great about that is anyone can jump up and monitor. It's not necessarily using your resources unless you have the slave open. So in my setup, I have this trash can Mac Pro that's over there. That's a paperweight, and it's.
I was about to say, I'm sorry.
I know, right? Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're definitely mourning the loss of our revenue for that.
Right.
And then, and that's running the database. So as long as you have just the slave application open, I can, before the show, I restarted because I forgot I had Logitech drivers I needed to install. So I restarted my computer, but my jobs were still running. So if something fails, all those computers would have to fail for that job to not render over the weekend.
Right.
So, dude, it was so nice to just go outside and be attacked by allergies over the weekend.
Right.
And then back here, and I'm doing some home renovations. I'm moving and stuff. So, like, I can focus on that. And then Monday morning, I come in, my jobs aren't arrowed out. And if they are, I can get a specific list of what happened, why, and I can track down that culprit, which is amazing. I mean,
so I email you or text you if something's wrong too.
I think you can set up those notifications. I know you can get notifications when your job is completed. So,
nice. Cool.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
So you install it on all the different computers. Because I mean, I've heard of Deadline a lot. I think Barton uses it at ABC, and I think the guys over at Ranger and Fox use it as well. So you install it on all the different computers. If you're outsourcing or if you're sending a job to it, I'm assuming all your resources are being used on that computer, and you've got to throw all the I don't know, all the files basically to each computer as well. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. The way that works, though, the installers are kind of weird. So sometimes you'll get an installer from Deadline, and it will look like one package thing. So you download this thing. It's called the repository. And you run through the installer. And I tried to make this clear in the video, but I don't know if I did a good job about it. But there's like there's the repository, there's a repository, and then there's the database, the Mongo database. So those can be on two separate computers. They give you one installer because most of the time you have a dedicated server that's going to run 24/7. Right. And that's going to be your mapped drive on your network, or that's just going to be a server link, a UNC, a universal naming convention link to all of your different platforms hitting that one server, and that's how you share your client. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said client. What I meant to say was just like your files, your files for your client. Client is in like the real people. And then as long as you have your Deadline slave or client up, it's looking through that UNC path. And the support, I have to say, the support hands down through ThinkBox and Amazon is the best customer support I've ever seen with software. I mean, they have an army, right, of these like super high-end technicians who are running these AWS stuff. So it's like I was trying to set up the AWS portal the other day, and I kind of hit a roadblock. I couldn't like find my, what is it called? AWS asset server. I was like, what is this? Why? I'm getting so confused. I'm chasing my tail. I'm reading this documentation. I jump on the phone with the guy. He takes control of my computer and he walks me through, and he's like, this is what this is. This is what that is. So if you're having any trouble with any of this, give them a ring, because it's in your best interest. It's in their best interest, and they can explain it to you in under 10 or 15 minutes. And that was so helpful. And when I prepared this next video for the AWS, they're there to help, and they want to help, and they're enthusiastic, and they're just awesome people. So I don't know. Did that answer your question, Matt? I'm so sorry. I feel like
so. Well, it was just that, like, so all the computers are going to have all the assets from each project, correct? So like if you're sending something, and are they working together like say TeamViewer does, like with TeamViewer or whatever, not TeamViewer, the render viewer, what is it?
Team Render.
Team Render.
Yeah.
Jeez, I got my.
I always say TeamViewer instead of Team Render.
Yeah. With Team Render, it all has to be divvied out to everything. Each computer, they've all got to get the files, and then they all start rendering. But I think if your main computer crashes, then like you're SOL for the whole project.
Yeah, exactly.
With this one, I'm assuming that it works similar, but each Deadline one is running its own instance or its own Deadline server or whatever. So you're sending it out to each one, and then they just start rendering them independently, or are you able to combine them to like render out one frame at a time? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally got you. I'll try to answer that. Like the Mac Pro has the database. So the database is what is connecting everything together. It has the heartbeat. It's like, hey, you guys are rendering this, and this is what you're doing. Now I'm going to point you to a mapped drive, which is the repository. So the two keywords there is repository and database. So and that comes in the same installer. So in my case, when I ran it, I have my repository on my NAS drive, which is a 20 or 30 terabyte NAS storage device. So just on that NAS storage device, it's mapped as a Z drive for all of my Windows machines, right? And that has a render repository folder. That's where when you do the submission through the plugin, it will dump your project there. And it's nice because it's very readable. You have, if you have different users who are using it. So like Matt and Dave, like you guys would have your own render repository jobs folder.
Mhm.
And as long as that NAS doesn't get struck by lightning or moving parts like go crazy in those hard drives, those HDDs, there's virtually nothing that can hurt the job on a per workstation basis. If mine goes down, this main workstation, or the workstation over here next to me, or the ones on the other wall behind me, if any of those 4 go down, 5 including my main workstation, they would all have to crash at the same time. So that would just be electrical outlet, right?
Or
that would be the only,
if your NAS goes down, right? If your NAS goes down, then it's all down.
If my NAS is going, like, I'm just gonna quit. I'm just gonna close my doors.
Right.
I'm gonna dissolve the company. It's gone. It's gone. We're done. We're done here. I'm not even gonna try to fix that problem. No, I do have redundant drives too. So
yeah. Okay. So are they all? So it does. Yeah. So are they able to all work together to render one frame, or are they all just rendering individual frames themselves?
You can designate those tasks. So tasks are they can be images. It can be a group of images. It can also be what they call a jigsaw. So it's like where, you could have like different machines. Literally, if you wanted to be so efficient in this work, you can have like they show it in the Maya documentation, but it's like you can draw these. Computer, this chunk goes to that computer. I haven't done that in depth, but to me, I don't think I will ever have to do that. If you were doing like high res print, I would say
that was my thought. Like if you're doing some sort of print work that you've got to, a 2 or 3 hour render on one image or something like that, if you could do it that way.
Yeah, and I really do plan to take the time in the next few videos on YouTube to talk about Deadline and to talk about these features, because I don't feel like there's a lot of people out there talking about it in the C4D community. I feel like most of these guys are like, Barton Damer's shop. It's like, they're grooving and they're doing their thing really well and they're staying so busy. And it's just the jobs that have to have something like that, or I'm sorry, the studios that have to have a tool like they have it and they know it. But not so much the smaller guys, like the collaborative guys, the motion graphics guys. It's like they're in their own wheelhouse and they're so busy. So I try to come out of my foxhole and like pitch that stuff up. And like be like, hey, yo, this is what I'm using. This is why I'm using it, and I hope you guys dig it too. So that's how the whole YouTube thing even started out, was just because of that.
Yeah. Cool. So let's talk some more about your background. So what's you're just a youngin', you're one of those millennials.
Yeah.
Right. Give us a little bit about your background. Like I've seen a ton of your tutorials and stuff like that, and I've probably watched you for years.
Likewise.
But give us kind of a little bit of your background. Where'd you go to school, if you went to school at all?
That's awesome. I'm so happy that you guys watch my stuff, because I watch your stuff, and that's one of the reasons why
this whole MoGraph world is kind of incestuous like that.
It is. And I literally like wanted to be in a community like that, because I'll try to start from beginning and try to trail my thoughts into it. But like when I was in high school, I had some success through like video production and just creating a story or creating a pitch or an ad or whatever it may be for a contest. And, there was an organization I was in high school. I went to like district, state, and national level, competed there for like 2 years. And that was the first time I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I could spin this into a career working at a shop. And so then that gave me a little bit of confidence to dive into 3D, because at the time I was doing a ton of After Effects stuff, and that's all I knew. And I was one of Andrew Kramer's babies, like
weren't we all?
And like
I'll be right back,
I remember,
guys. You keep going. Sorry.
So like when I was in like the 8th grade, I was in this like business class, and I remember one of my friends, he was sitting next to him and he was like, dude, you can use this software to make a demon face. And I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. So that was like, the start of everything with After Effects and how that can be used as a tool. I mentioned briefly one of my really good friends, Andrew Ferris. He was 2 years older than I was, and he was like my mentor, like learning all of this because he was such a natural at it. Like he was, I mean, he still is like an amazing compositor, and he works at Mr. X right now, and they're doing some crazy, crazy stuff over in Toronto, which is so funny that we were at this like really tiny little high school, and we started doing all this. So after that, going to college, I wanted to do like something with computers. Was teetering on computer science and computer graphics. Purdue was a good option for me. So went to Purdue in New Albany, worked out of Louisville at an engineering firm. You know Chris Pretty, right? You know him?
Yeah.
I worked with
guy.
Chris.
He's great.
Yeah, he's a great dude. And he was another like mentor for me. Chris Pretty and Rod Ross. Are you familiar with Rod Ross?
I think I recognize the name. I don't know if we've met in person.
Yeah, he's on Cineversity, and he does a lot of the engineering stuff, and he's starting to do a lot more on Cineversity now, which is great because he is so knowledgeable. And I was lucky to have an internship there to commercial production, worked on set, did a lot of that stuff with Gary Miller. Gary Leo Miller .tv, I believe, is his website. You got to check him out. All right. He is the illest. I mean, he's the best director, the best DP. He works well with people on set, and he was doing some really, really good gigs. Like he was doing GE aviation stuff, flying all over the world, shooting these amazing films. So he was the one who trusted me with like these hard drives and the red mags and stuff. And he eventually had an Arri Alexa that we use a lot for in production. So I was doing DIT work there. So. I mean, it just goes on, and I feel like everyone's experience and everyone's background is kind of like this jungle swinging from vine to vine on their career path to get to where they want. I'm just lucky enough that I was doing some type of storytelling or animation or something that I was really enjoying at the time, and so I'm blessed to have that kind of path,
Chris Pretty's on the chat.
Oh, is he really? Chris, what's up, dude? He owes me a beer.
Yeah.
Owes me a beer. He told me. No, I'm just kidding.
So
I nagged him.
I'm looking on your YouTube page, and like you're not just a cinema guy. You've got stuff here in cinema. You've got stuff here in Maya. You've got stuff in Octane and whatchamacallit? Moto. Substance Painter, you've got Unity. It's like you're not limiting yourself to one particular subject. Yeah. Why is that?
I know, isn't that crazy? I know a lot of people are probably like, dude, why? This is like so nutto. Like, why would you go through all these applications? But
right?
Yeah, I definitely.
What did you start with? We'll start with that. You started as an After Effects guy, then you moved over to what?
3ds Max.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, at that level, I was very hobbyist and trying to read as much as I could. And, in that time around circa 2008, there wasn't a whole lot of conversation, right? I mean, it was harder to get into that stuff, at least from my perception level. Like it was harder to get into the industry. And at Purdue, I got into the SIGGRAPH organization, which I volunteered, a student volunteer, and had some leadership roles for like 4 years through college, which was so eye-opening. I think without that, I wouldn't be near where I am today in terms of computer graphics and handling all these applications. Because, I go to these trade shows and they'd be talking. And at the time, I was really heavily into Maya. As I mentioned before the live stream, I was doing a lot of character setup stuff, and that's what I wanted to do. So I would go to these booths, and I'd see like Cinema 4D, and the Foundry at the time had just purchased Moto around like, I want to say like 2013 or something. And, I was looking at these applications as viable tools and solutions. I never look at anything and say, I won't do that because I don't want to learn it. Like I don't want to jump into Houdini because it's all nodes. I don't want to jump into Maya because of the hypergraph. Like those things don't scare me. They're more of ways of transferring data and information that I already know how to use. And, if you understand the basics of just parent-child relationships, transforms, just knowing that you have to keep track of your scene and manage it well, you could use any of these DCC applications at a novice level and still do great work, Yeah. I would, if I showed you like how to navigate Modo, like I know that you could jump in there and use their modeling tools, and you'd be like, man, these modeling tools in Modo are sick.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you have so knowing all these individual applications, do you find that you prefer one over another for certain things? Like, I do all my modeling in Modo unless it's, character stuff. Then I'll do it in ZBrush or blah, 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 blah,
Yeah, not so much anymore because of my time is restricted, and I had to steal time from myself to jump into something different. Like, I mean, I could jump into Maya and knock out a project, no problem. Like I have all the confidence in the world in Maya. Cinema 4D, same way, because I've invested so much time. Like I said, Modo, I could do like a novice project. I would be mildly comfortable like going through the interface and doing everything. I mean, I spent like 2 years in Modo at my engineering internship, just learning Modo and using the Modo render engine. And so, I've been able to, like, when I get a project, if I'm not working for someone or I'm freelance, I've been able to say, I'm going to use this designated tool and just go that route and not look back. So definitely now, as like as a small business owner and someone who wants to lead teams in collaboration, not afraid to like say, okay, this guy's using Maya, we're going to use Cinema 4D over here, and that guy over there is going to be using Houdini, and I'd be comfortable jumping into those projects and checking them out. So
Brad,
yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
No,
I feel like
it's good. It's like it's interesting because normally you don't see someone like that, like you see someone who's like, okay, I use Cinema 4D, or if I'm sculpting, I'll move over to ZBrush. It's almost like they've got one main one that they use and then one side one, I just use ZBrush, or, oh no, my side one is Houdini, or something like that.
Yeah, I know. And there's
it's your main girl and your.
I mean, there's something to be said about that because by no means am I an evangelist like in any of these softwares. Like, I mean, Cinema 4D and Maya is what I am very comfortable in, and I can kind of tailor those techniques and what I've learned to other applications, right? So I don't like look at an application like Modo and say, I'm going to learn the bridge tool because people tell me the bridge tool is great. It's like, I know about that, fundamental tool because I've learned it in Maya. I don't know. So it's like,
I get that.
Yeah, you know what you know, right? And then you kind of use that in other applications. But UI and naming conventions and things like that don't really scare me because I know that they're based on these other things. I very rarely do I see something in a DCC that I haven't seen in Maya, or I haven't seen in Cinema 4D, or I haven't seen in Modo. Yeah, you know what I mean? Which leads me to my next topic about modeling. Like when you were talking about ZBrush and stuff, we have got to figure out a better way to model. Like, we have been doing polygonal modeling for what, 20 years? Yeah, it's so inefficient. It's such a like, I don't know why these DCCs, like, I mean,
well, how would you suggest making it better?
Yeah, Oculus Medium.
There's got to be a better way, but I don't know how to do it.
No, Oculus Medium is pretty cool. Like, taking a technology that's like room scale VR and then being able to interact with your mesh that way. So, kind of backing up a little bit, when I first got my job at SIGGRAPH as an SV, I got my travel paid for and I got my hotel paid for through the conference.
That's part.
Dude, it was incredible. I was on top of the world. And then I had 3 roommates from Beijing. One was a doctorate. He was studying for his PhD in computer graphics. And he was the first one who turned me on to this. He was like, he was very, very passionate about it. He's like, you are a CG artist. He's like, why are you doing polygonal modeling? Why are you doing all this stuff? Like, why? Like, this is so inefficient. He's like, it takes artists weeks to come up with a production ready model, and like those guys who are in research, who are in that realm of computer science, they see like all this stuff that we're doing as inefficiencies. Like there's always a better way. There's always something to do, and the fact that we've done this for 20 years is just it's insane. sculpting, which are still polygons, like how is there not a voxel solution? How is, some of this stuff like Oculus Medium, like if I wanted to draw a cup, like we start with a cylinder primitive and we do all this stuff. There's got to be a better way to like have an index, or like drawing as I see it is not going to be like a very big part of the industry. It's going to be easier. It's going to be like more efficient. There's going to be less modelers out there and like production houses, because the demand is like so high right now for 3D, and people are used to ingesting this. And even Facebook has these 3D viewers on your newsfeed, which is amazing. So we got to move away from polygonal modeling. We got to cut the umbilical cord and move on to something else. Do something.
Well, there you go. There's your $1 million idea right there. You just got to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Anyone out in the chat, if you have an idea, let's team up. I have no idea with like graphics programming. So, or if that came from Beijing is watching, like, I'm with you. Anyways, sorry. That was a little rant about polygonal modeling.
It's all good. Let's switch over a little bit, because you do a lot of stuff, and a lot of the stuff that I've seen lately that you've done has been Unity based, working entirely in Unity. And it's like I said earlier, it's crazy to me that you've got your hat, you're wearing so many different hats,
I've been lucky too to have the people that I work with. When I connected you guys with Jason Latta here in Louisville, he has his own shop and he does, interactivity, and he sets up systems, and he does trade show booths. He does amazing work. He works for GE and all these really big companies with these very, very heavy projects on his shoulders, and he works in a nimble team. There's a lot of people here in Louisville that do that and travel and do all this stuff and collaborate with people from different places. So I will have to say that even though you guys find it impressive, there are other people that you don't know about that I talk to, that I have to support these ideas. So one of which I went to school with, his name's Ben James, and he has an indie game that he created. It's called Zombie Party. You guys should check it out. You're into we were talking about retro games. It's a retro shooter, retro twin stick shooter. So like, he was in that mindset. He worked at the engineering firm with me as an intern. He was like, man, I really want to do indie game development. And he's like, I just got this calling and I'm going to go chase it. And he did. And I kind of chased my passion too. And now we've merged back together and we're doing client work together in Unity. So he went out and learned like structuring, kind of like code and like how to handle data and how to handle art assets. So a lot of these people I collaborate with, I learned so much from them. And then I just want to like push that back out into the community. So Cineversity, we're teaming up again to do a MoGraph Unity based series around a project. Yeah.
That's super awesome.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I really want to like try to make that very clear to any motion graphics user that if you want to pursue a project like that, team up with someone who knows how to structure a project in Unity. Indie game developers are great because they have to, overcome so many obstacles just as we do. So collaboration is key. I never want anyone to think that I'm just like some brainiac that's just like soaking in stuff. It's taking me like
go about finding all these people,
I've just been lucky in my kind of maze and career path to meet these people and shake hands. And SIGGRAPH has been just overwhelming, like there's so many people in my network through SIGGRAPH, and this will be my 7th or 8th year going to SIGGRAPH again. Wow. So nice. In a row. So it's like every time I see them, they become more and more like family, even though it's only a week, that we go. Right. So those student volunteers who I volunteered with in the past, they're going to become industry leaders, and they're going to have their own studios, and they're going to have their own ideas. And so if you can kind of grow a network like that, it's great, because I don't feel like I don't really shout the projects that I'm doing. My website's not updated. Like I can't really talk about some of these engineering projects that I'm on. Yeah. Especially like the 9-foot by 20-foot interactive Unity wall with the infrared sensors and stuff. Like I can't talk about that stuff because
I can't talk about this.
Yeah, it's like So, what's another way to talk about it, and YouTube and kind of growing an audience and just getting like-minded people around me like you guys is so important. It's so vital. Mm-hmm. And then let me spin that into your question. That's how you learn Unity.
Okay. So you're basically just teaming up with people who know, you're teaming up with people who know more about a particular subject than you do, and you're just kind of feeding off of them.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Exactly. Just kind of absorbing it and asking questions. I think the best way to learn is asking questions. It's like I feel like I'm a good listener when someone is telling me something. Like I'll take notes, or I'll spin it around and ask them a question that's related to something I understand from our side. And trying to make connections like that. That's kind of academically how I survived. And through college and stuff is kind of like making these neural pathways of, okay, so I'm an art guy and I have these assets and you're a data dude. Let's talk about how I can give this to you and how you can make that work for me and how it can work for the project. And that's where I learn a lot of that stuff from.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And yeah. So I have very shallow understanding of programming, but I have a great understanding of rigging. So
okay.
The expressions and stuff that I would have to write in Maya, a lot of the stuff I was doing by hand, and all the Mel stuff that I used to learn, that can translate into Python, which can translate into C#. So it's not a straight line ever. It's always like, what do you know, and how. And complete these projects and have clients who are happy and who want to come back.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to call you out at this. Yeah. So I think you did a tutorial on Octane at one point, and you said you're going to do a tutorial on Cineversity about interior lighting in Octane. But I don't think you ever did you?
It's up, my guy.
Oh, it is?
Oh, it is?
Okay. Yeah.
Never mind.
Dude, it's like... There's a lot of videos. I want to. I don't want to stop our banter. I want to check it. I want to see. how many videos there are. There's a lot.
Is it on Cineversity or is it on your actual YouTube?
Yes, sir. It's on University. Okay. That's YouTube and Cineversity mixed together. University.
Yeah. See,
which is how everyone should learn.
I saw that one and I was like, oh, good. So I'm going to go check, and I could have swore I checked and it wasn't there, but maybe you did it.
Yeah, it was a long time coming, especially with, like I said, the small business lifestyle.
Yeah.
And, it's a lot sometimes. So there's, oh my goodness.
I'm interested to check it out because interior rendering in Octane sucks, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it never has
portal lights that don't work and all that kind of stuff.
Portal lights that don't work, and it's just I've never been able to get a truly realistic look, in Octane.
There's 3 different lighting setups I show you how to do: a sunny afternoon, golden hour, and then a nighttime. Sources with direct light coming from a natural sky setting, and I try to show you as much as I can, and each video can range from 6 minutes all the way up to 15 minutes or 18 minutes. I think
that's not bad though.
No, not really. And there's it's not numbered here on the website, but somewhere around 18 videos or so I hope that is at least big enough to answer all the questions that there could be, but also easy to swallow. I don't want someone to sit here for hours, but if they did take the time, then they can run with this information,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's up, my dude. Check it out, dude. Check it out, watch it, and then if you have time, because I know you guys are super, super busy, but I would love your feedback on it. Because
for sure. Put it in our Slack too. You're in the. I said put it in our Slack too. You're on the Slack, right?
Yeah.
I see you in there from time to time.
Yeah, and, I need to Slack more.
That's my problem. I'm slacking too much.
Is that why they named it that? I know that
I would assume.
Yeah, I know.
assume.
So I think from what I read, the first project that was ever done in Slack was a game development project. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
That's why it was like, I guess, birthed.
Do you know Arnold Render very well?
I feel so weird like saying yes to everything. Like I feel like I'm a yes man with computer graphics, but yeah, I used Arnold and Maya before it was integrated in 2017. So I do have a working knowledge of Arnold, and I try to keep up with it. Oh, Chad Ashley, my boy, he's a great dude. I actually met him last year at SIGGRAPH. Sometimes I'm the creep around the Maxon booth, like at SIGGRAPH. Like, I don't like to approach people like in person unless I have like a good conversation. So it's like I don't want to, because everyone's time is so valuable at those trade shows. So we actually crossed paths and we did that interview with David Ariev, who I love dearly. He's like
I threw out my back on that interview, by the way.
I was gonna say before the stream started, it was gonna be a long one because I kept David there forever, and you guys.
It was like you guys want to say it was like 25 minutes or something, and I'm sitting here holding the camera, and I'm like stretching my back out. Then all of a sudden, I pulled a muscle, and I could barely even move. It was awful, dude. Because I sit behind a desk all day. I'm not used to standing up.
Right.
I understand. When I was transitioning in college, I did a lot of video production stuff. So, brother, you were preaching to the choir, and I felt so bad. I mean, when I looked, when you guys said you were like, I think you were flashing like 22. It's been 22 minutes. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
It's funny.
I felt so bad, but just kind of stemming around to the trade show. I try to approach people with a meaningful conversation so that they can remember that we chatted, and it's hard because at trade shows you want to walk up and be like, yo, Barton, like that was awesome, I love your stuff, but I would rather approach Barton and be like, hey, I saw on your Twitter that you were having trouble with this and that. I'm doing the same thing right now. Let's compare notes. So
trust me, we all like it when someone just comes up to us and says, hey, I like your stuff. That's just as good.
Dude, I feel you. I was caught off guard at SIGGRAPH because this guy was kind of angry, and he approached Patrick Goski, and he was like, where are the UV tools? He's like, this guy's the only one who's talked about UV tools. And I was like, I felt so weird just like having someone kind of call you out and appreciate what you put out into the community, because a lot of the times I don't keep up on social media as well as I should. But I'm gonna try to get better at it.
I had a Raid Zero from NAB moment where I didn't realize who you were, and we had been talking for like 5 or 10 minutes until I looked down at your badge and I saw your name and where you were from. I was like, oh, I know exactly. I feel like we're best friends now.
Man, exactly. Like it's funny because like if you look through my videos, I feel like I look different in every video because it takes me forever to make a video. Right. So like my hair was long at that time, and now
one video you go through 3 different wardrobe changes.
Exactly. Like I put on these wigs, and I just like I set them to upload like months later.
That's funny.
That's how you do it. Just do it all once, and then you set it for years.
That's funny.
But.
Well, I was asking about the Arnold thing because we have our Slack going, and we don't have a lot of Arnold support. And I know a lot of people are asking questions about Arnold, and like there's so many GPU people in our Slack that it's kind of empty in that area. And Corona as well. We started a Corona channel too.
I try to stay on top of the GPU rendering stuff. One, because I'm fully invested. I have 16 GPUs here in the office, so it's like. Yeah, so I really needed it during a period with GE Aviation. We were making this like really, what did they call it? What's the marketing term for it? They were making this place in Dubai, and we had to provide graphics for it. So it was like a brand new building, and we provided all the graphics for it. It was like 15,000, I think it was, images that we had to do with animations and stills. And it was all interactive. So we worked with this super talented developer here in Louisville. whose name is Forest Giant. And we worked with them to provide all their graphics. It was a super small graphics team, just like building these images. And that was the first time I used Octane. So after that, I finally got my head above water, and I said to myself, there's got to be someone else out there who has had a big gig and needs this power, needs this knowledge. So then that's when I put on YouTube videos and stuff. So once
I feel like we started doing Octane tutorials at the same time you started doing Octane tutorials. Like it was like this small little group of people, you know, who all started doing Octane tutorials all at once, and it was a very, very small community.
Yeah. And I don't want to like seem trite by saying this, but like Otoy probably at the time like saw that surge. Like I bet if you could look at their sales, because no one was really using it. Like, well, at least on the internet, you couldn't find help very easily. And their documentation, hate to say it, was pretty slim.
Oh, it was awful.
And there definitely wasn't a Facebook group with like almost 20,000 members in it like there is now.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and then In Life Thrill was like, I think he was the only person making videos about the subject, which I've never met him or talked to him, but he seems like a super sweet guy. But thank you to him for real, because they were linking his videos in the documentation, and I was like, kind of peeved at that. Like he must, like, if he didn't get paid for them putting that in the documentation, you know, I would be upset, because in my opinion, there's no excuse for not writing out that stuff.
Right.
You know?
Right. I agree.
Yeah, I bought his series at the time. It was like $75 for like all this Octane info. It was great. Yeah,
that's how I learned, basically. You know, I went through that, and then I text message Dave every 20 minutes saying, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this?
Yeah. And I don't want to like totally back on Otoy, because that's not my intention at all. But I think it speaks to both sides. If their documentation isn't well written, then they must have a great product if so many people are using it, right? Like, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. So, got you out of that one, Otoy. But Arnold, when it goes GPU, and it will soon, it will make sense for me to purchase it again and use it. So I have like an old license for one seat of Maya, so I don't really jump back into that, you know.
Yeah. So which do you like more, Maya or C4D? Which do you like modeling more in? Or do you just use Moto?
None of them. Moto has some amazing modeling tools in it. In terms of a Swiss Army knife, Maya is, I mean, it just has the age. It has the support from the beginning. It was first, what was it first? Wavefront, Alias Wavefront.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so that was like early 90s. And then like before Autodesk picked it up and turned it into Maya, it's just been there for so long. So in terms of a Swiss Army knife and what you can do and what you can achieve, Maya is definitely a great place to learn CG. I would throw people in the fire and say, learn this, and then you can probably learn almost anything after that. Because you get a little bit of everything there. You get a little bit of nodal kind of structures. You get some kind of third-party support with Arnold now, free with it bundled. So, you know, you can throw them in the fire that way. But if you're just like doing motion design and you're not invested in like the computer science part of it, right? Like you don't want to know everything, but you want to create awesome images. C4D is a landslide win. Like, I think anyone in the industry would agree with that. I don't think anyone's going to say no to that.
Yeah.
In Moto, you know, the Foundry, they have their own feng shui, and they deal a lot with studios, and that's kind of where their main revenue seems to come from. Because when I talked to them at SIGGRAPH, I was looking for a community that had support, and I thought it was going to be the Foundry and Moto. And there was a sales rep there from my region, and he was like, "Yeah, let's meet up at this time. Here's my number, blah blah blah." And like I tried to hit him up like when that time rolled around, and he left me hanging. So that was kind of sour. Yeah. But like the community with Maxon and the community motion graphics artists and VFX artists, there's such a turbulent wheelhouse of people using Cinema 4D to create like these blockbuster, like crazy looking images. So that's where I wanted to be and where I wanted to stay. And so I found a home there for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
I don't really believe, and someone please correct me if I'm wrong, if there is quite the community in the Maya way. Like, you know, I know Maya like added all these MoGraph tools to it and stuff, but like it doesn't have the same.
That is one thing that I think that people have said about the C4D community is that we're all so close and, you know, tight knit and stuff like that, and we're all very welcoming, you know, versus the Maya community. I don't know if there's something similar to this, you know.
And give out the most hugs.
Yeah. It's all Matthias. It's all Matthias because Matthias hugs everyone, so we all feel like family.
Yeah, he's a great dude. He really is. And they're, I'll say Maxon US is going to prosper from like what they've been able to do, because it's the software is great, and like, you know, Maya could be the most incredible tool, you know, Moto, Houdini, whatever it is, you know, in terms of software, but it's always going to be the people using the software. It's always going to be people based. It's always going to be relationship based, no matter like how collaborative it is online. Like there's nothing that will replace face-to-face interaction. And there's nothing that will replace community and just help and support. There will nothing will replace that.
Yeah.
So I feel like Autodesk and some of these people that don't have booths at SIGGRAPH, who are like, even Adobe not having a booth at SIGGRAPH is just so, like, that makes me furious. Like, I think that's crazy.
I think it's interesting. I don't know if Autodesk had a booth at NAB this year. Or at least not one that I noticed. I didn't venture too far away from the Maxon booth. I did find it weird that in previous years, their booth at NAB was like 2 to 3 times as big as the one at SIGGRAPH.
Yeah, which is just boggles my mind. Like, I don't understand how you're not going to show up to a trade show and roll out the red carpet for your community. Like, they're paying so much for like a full conference pass and the flight and the hotel and the food and like everything just to be around you, and you can't even show up. Like that's so weird to me. Like I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Sage said they didn't have a booth at NAB this year, which is so weird because they were always like right next to Adobe, like across from Adobe or something.
And I know Adobe really does like throw out the red carpet for NAB because that's a big net for them, right? I mean, there's a lot of people in production and broadcasts who rely heavily on those tools. But show up to SIGGRAPH and tell us what you're doing to make our lives better. Have a table, for goodness sake. Like,
anything,
anything. Have a presence, I mean, of course they're there. I mean, the Adobe employees, like you can walk around SIGGRAPH and see Autodesk, Adobe. You can see it on their name badges and stuff. But and they have the courses and the closed lectures and stuff. But still, you got to be there as a presence on the expo floor. Let's not let
Ashley
that down.
Says hi.
Oh, Chad, what's up, buddy? Come to Louisville.
Come to Louisville.
Tell him to come to Louisville. So, I hope he does. He's trying to figure it out. You're thinking, debating. Furiously type your yes or no question. Send it to me on Facebook.
That's funny. So you're in. He says he's on his way.
Oh, he is? Okay, cool. I'm ready. Tell him I got to paint tonight though. So if he wants to help paint my my new flat, then let's do it, my guy.
It's funny. So you're using Fusion too, right?
I love it,
dude. Okay, so let me ask it. So I've downloaded it. I've opened it. It's kind of like Maya or Houdini, where you open it up, and if you're not fully invested in trying to learn it, you're like, all right, this is a little too much right now. I'm gonna close it down. You know. Yeah. So,
well, dude, I'm totally game to do, like, we have this ability to do this Skype thing. Like you and me, one night you're free. Let's open it up and let's look at it.
Down. All right. Yeah. Because it's something that that's one program that I feel like that I've heard so many good things about, you know, and I feel like I should move to, because I now don't get me wrong, I love After Effects. I've been in After Effects since I was, you know, 18 years old.
Me too, man. It hits me right here. It's my heart. It's like what I'm about. But I can't recommend it to people because the suits, these execs like at Adobe are just like, no, I don't want to like invest my whole career and income around a product that I have no idea where it's going, and no one wants to talk to me about it, you know? So the Blackmagic booth at SIGGRAPH and at NAB, well, the Blackmagic booth at NAB, let's talk about that.
Gosh. Yeah.
It's not a booth.
They've got their own. No,
it's a concourse.
They need to just rent out the lower south floor, you know?
Yeah. And I think, I could be wrong, if someone in the chat or like on Slack knows, I think a Purdue graduate started Blackmagic.
Really?
I heard that a long time ago, and I don't know if that's the case, but I dig it because like they are ruthless, man. Like they will come and uproot like on pricing. Like they'll throw you a big curveball, and they're like, all right, is it pricing that is the barrier? Well, we're going to drop it to $199. How's that sound? Right.
You know?
I mean, you can't even go and buy a phone for that, you know? Right. So like what's your excuse at that point to not have Fusion 9 Studio as a professional? And it needs the community support. It needs people behind it because there's nuggets there that will change people's lives.
Yeah. And I've told Dave we need to buy it just for the actual like ProRes export capability. You know,
it's like that is worth it alone.
I know, right? You're gonna spend $199 for this faux res stuff, you know, a faux res plugin that won't actually render it out correctly versus just spending $300 to render it out of Fusion in an actual, you know.
So let me ask you what's so important about ProRes, because for me, a lot of the ad agencies here in Louisville still use it as broadcast.
The ProRes?
Yeah, as a broadcast deliverable. A lot of people still ask for 426.
Yeah, and that's mostly it. You know, most of the people that, if we're getting people who want deliverables, we're handing, if they're going online, I'll just give them like a Vimeo or YouTube from Media Encoder, you know. If not, then it's ProRes, you know. And so a lot of people are asking for ProRes, and it sucks because I've got to render it out first as like a DNX HD or something, or even open it up on my Mac just so I can export it out. Yeah,
I mean it's or FFmpeg, right? I mean, like, and that is scary in itself because it's a console command, and a lot of people want a GUI. So I feel you there, and it also has great support for WebM and HV. What is it? HEV. The codec that's 4K. HEVC.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm terrible with acronyms, my guys, and also names. I'm terrible with names and acronyms. Maybe software names is the only thing I'm good at, and I don't know why. Somehow.
Same here. I'm great with faces. Like, terrible with names.
It's got to be like the color and the name associated with their branding, and that's what like locks it in. But with like faces and all that other stuff, I'm like, I don't know. But it's great, man. It's a great tool. It's fast. You know, they've been around for a long time. Just the technology itself, Fusion, has been around for a long time before Blackmagic purchased it. So they were doing like projection mapping. They were doing museum content like long before anyone was really talking about it on the web, you know, like we do now. So circling back to SIGGRAPH and trade shows, they show up and they bring out some amazing people. One of which, pardon me, but I'm going to get on Twitter and just look up his name. His name's Tony, I believe. And he was a sincerely amazing person to talk to. Tony Gallardo. So his tag is at TOMIGA2. You should follow him on Twitter. He does like YouTube stuff. Super sweet guy, just so down to earth. He did a lot of presentations for them, and you know, he was impactful. Like that's how you're gonna get the support and you're gonna get the community, is like having those type of people like Tony. So, and there's another guy too that does a lot of the Blackmagic stuff that you can just search it on YouTube and find him. He's been doing it for years. So I can't remember his name. He's got a shaved head though, and he's a badass. He's a badass when it comes to Fusion. So, but Matt, and Dave too. If you guys want to jump in and see what the buzz is about, let's do it one night.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I think Dave would be more interested in learning Unity from you.
True.
Dude, the Unity is a rabbit hole. So if you guys want to jump into that, let's do it. Because it is the community. Okay, this goes along with what we're talking about. Community here. Right. The Unity community is unreal.
I see what you did there.
There it is.
Oh, yes, little bell. Yeah, it's insane. You have so many walks of life who use that tool, and it's not just games. And this whole idea of what we think about with real-time rendering as games is not fair anymore. Like, it's not fair to like kind of tip your nose up and be like, oh well, I'm not going to use a game engine, because it's not. It's a real-time rendering suite that has a crazy amount of developers behind it under the Unity Technologies umbrella. And then you have these geniuses in the world who are really releasing plugins. Like, if you search Chris West Unity, he has the most amazing suite of plugins to help you do what you want to do, in terms of just handing files off, doing like dynamic ropes and stuff. It's like, it's insane. And any aspect of what you want to learn, there's going to be someone there that has already answered it for you in depth. So it's an amazing tool set, and it's growing faster than we can comprehend. So
do you see a convergence between like rendering in, say, C4D or Maya or anything like that? And do you see a convergence between the traditional 3D animators and the game developers? Eventually, it will almost be seamless as one. It
is impossible to stop. I mean, it's happening, and anyone who says it's not happening is probably in their comfort zone when they say that, and they're like, no, it won't happen. Like, but and that's a kind of outlandish statement, but I did hear the Blender Guru interviewed Andrew Kramer, and I was listening to it.
And dude, that guy's great. I want to get him on the show.
The Blender Guru.
Andrew Price, dude, he's awesome.
Yeah, I know. He's dude. That Australian accent is so infectious.
I know.
It's like velvet on the ear. It's like amazing to hear people talk from Australia. Anyways, one day I'll make it out. But okay, so in the interview, Andrew Kramer talked about Element 3D. I have an Andrew Kramer story too that maybe people would like to hear.
Sure.
So if you guys can remind me, because I'm just going 100%. But he was talking about Element 3D being based on game technology, and that's so true. It's based on like the GeForce stuff, all that research that's out there in terms of like ray tracing. Real-time ray tracing, because it has like ray trace ambient occlusion, and it has other features that are pretty high-end for After Effects, which is so awesome. And I love Element 3D. I think it's a great product. And he was talking about how he doesn't see that transitioning into a viable application for rendering. Like he's like, ray tracing is the gold standard. And in my opinion, path tracing is the gold standard because it's more efficient than ray tracing is. But he was talking about how that will never happen like real time, like the arena of offline ray tracing. And I think that's true. But I think for people who are making content, as long as it looks great and it's fast and they have clients breathing down their neck, like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And they want edits like in-house. Like, I have clients come in here and, the backseat drivers, and I'm here and I got a large monitor up here. And it's like 7 days to get these things out, and it's insane. And you can't argue with the fact that if it looks great in real time and you don't have to wait, then that's a viable solution. So
I'll agree with that.
Yeah, because I mean, the guys who are writing white papers and technical papers and who are making this happen, it would be unfair to them to say it will never be offline rendering. You know what I mean? Like, well, then at that, it's never black and white like that. But they're doing such a great job in the real-time graphics industry right now, and Unity is pushing heavily into graphics with their scriptable render pipeline, which I think is going to be a great solution for a lot of motion graphics artists, especially interactive motion graphics artists. And that's what this whole Cineversity series is talking about. Like, let me at least feed you a little bit of like, you're comfortable in cinema and we have great tools. Let's get that into a real-time environment. So maybe you can do interactive applications in some form or fashion. And I hope to just plant that seed and watch the community take off with it, because it will happen. So yes,
awesome.
it is very viable.
All right, let's hear your Andrew Kramer story.
Yeah.
Subject. So Andrew Kramer if you haven't met him in person, he is everything that you expect him to be. Because in his tutorials, like I said, he's like one of the so many people out there are the same, in the same boat. He's the reason why I could make this a career path, you know. And I was an SV, and I was in the Expo Center before Maxon and all these people were going to go live with their, just letting people in the doors and stuff. And he was showing off Element 3D and like the C4D integration with Element, which was amazing at the time, because that's what I was using, as a student. And I walked by the booth, and there's a picture on my Vimeo. If anyone can find my Glass Hand Vimeo, it's a picture of me and him. And I have this like magazine of CG. CGW, Computer Graphics World Magazine.
Yeah.
Because I walked in, I picked it up, and I was just going to send a message to someone and get back to my duties. And I look out of the corner of my eye, and it's like Andrew Kramer, and there's no one around, right? It's just Andrew Kramer in the wild. And he's getting ready to set up his talk. And so I approach him, and this counteracts what I said before, but I was like, Andrew, blah, 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 you're amazing. Thank you so much for inspiring me. You set me on this path, and, I'm going to follow through. And he was like, dude, thank you so much. Like, that's so awesome that you came up and talked to me. He asked me about the SV. He was interested, and he was invested in the conversation. And I was just a college kid, a lot of people would kind of be like, oh yeah, thanks, kid. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to set up my booth here, and I'm gonna, but he's like, do you use 4D? And I was like, yeah, I use it in my internship all the time at Amatrol. And he was like, okay, well, I have a question for you. We're using R12, and I have all these preferences, and I need them to work with R13 here on this station. And I was like, no problem, Andrew. I got you, boy. I got you. And I was able to get the prefs file into the right folder on the Mac, because I was a Mac user at the time too. So I would like to think that was my small appreciation and token to Andrew Kramer for everything he had instilled in me. If it's just moving a press file for you, don't even sweat. I got you.
Liam's asking in the chat if you'll do the same Octane intro series, but for Redshifts, because people ask him all the time, and he doesn't have anywhere to point them, because he doesn't do ArcViz stuff.
Oh yeah, wow, yeah, I would love to. There was a manufacturing client who creates kitchen installs. That's here in Louisville. So like all the drawers and everything that they make those products, and I think I could contribute to that. So I would love to. And thanks for the shout out. I appreciate it, Liam. I don't think we've talked either. Well, we've talked on Twitter and stuff, but we haven't talked, Liam.
Maybe at SIGGRAPH.
Talked.
Yeah.
Maybe SIGGRAPH. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we're all going to talk at SIGGRAPH, hopefully around a round table with big Stein glasses.
Right.
Yes.
I'm a beer connoisseur.
We'll have to get someone else within the group to do another Airbnb, and then we'll just do another big
another big podcast.
You guys a fan of Airbnb? It's amazing, right?
Yeah, we use it all the time.
Yeah, we had, me and my fiance had a small trip to Connecticut.
Beard round table.
Yeah, dude, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm so game. Airbnb is great. I had a great host and a great experience, so I'm game for that. And then I heard EJ Hassenfrost is also a beer connoisseur.
Yes, he is.
Oh yeah,
very much.
And I heard he has the Tapped app, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yes,
okay,
he does.
I caught wind of that on like previous Brograph podcasts. So we'll have to compare, EJ.
He's got a ridiculous amount of beers in there, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like 7,000 or something.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole night of
We're
conversation.
like, oh my Guinness, am I right?
Oh,
Am I
you're
right?
fired.
Oh my
You're fired.
goodness. Yeah, yeah. I guess my heritage is Irish, so dude, Guinness all the way.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
No, but that's so great that he's into beers, because you got to have at least one guy that I can talk to about alcohol. Because I mean, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I was born here, and it's bourbon country, so it's just a pleasantry for us. You know, it's like we like good bourbon, we like good beer, and there's so many good brew houses around here. Also, there's good brew houses in Dallas too.
I saw Pauly Shore in Louisville. The one time I've been to Louisville, I saw him, and he was doing stand-up. Like, he was doing stand-up that night. He was staying in our hotel. We were trying to park, and we saw him. We were like, "Hey, is that Pauly Shore?" You know. And so I looked online. Oh yeah, totally.
Dude, he's online.
Oh, he is. He looks rough. He looks super rough.
I heard his mom actually has this like LA stand-up comedy club where everyone comes up.
Yeah,
and he seems like so interesting. Like
it was so sad because like, so I had been a fan since, you know, way back in the day, you know, since I was a kid. On my 17th birthday, my brother bought me a CD of Pauly Shore doing stand-up, right? And so I was listening to it, having a good time. He did the same freaking stand-up routine.
He did the same set
that he did from when I was 17. I was like, come on, dude. Seriously?
That's gotta be fan service or something, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's not say he's cashing in on like maybe he is, you know.
It was sad because I knew all the punchlines from like, you know, 13 years earlier.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, his movies are doomed to rerun on cable networks for the eternity.
Yep.
For eternity.
All the way to the bank.
All the way to the bank for sure. Yeah. Him and TBS must got a great deal, because what's the one where he's the city boy and he goes back to the farm with the girl? You know what I'm talking about?
That's oh man. I don't remember.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Son-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, he signed a 3-movie deal with them. You know, there was Son-in-Law, there was In the Army Now, and then there was Jury Duty, right? So he did all 3 of those movies. You know, he's signed anyway. I guess I know too much about Pauly Shore.
Right.
No, not at all. I love like Bobcat Goldthwait as well. Like all those dudes are so hilarious to me. Like I guess I have a twisted sense of humor, which is great. I feel at home in the Brograph Slack because there's just so much Tim and Eric stuff in there. Right. And I'll just scroll and I'll just see Tim and Eric gifs like nobody's business. And so we're in great company there, because anytime I meet someone, it's a secret handshake if you're a Tim and Eric fan. I love Tim and Eric.
I don't know that secret handshake then.
No, it's a secret handshake.
It's a secret handshake. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It is a secret handshake. No more has to be said after they're like, I'm a fan of Tim and Eric, or that comes up, or I hear a quote like, it's very real. You know, if I hear that, then like you and me are going to be lifetime friends. So you don't even have to sweat it. But yeah, Adult Swim humor is totally where I'm at. So I guess that may make me a little immature, probably in someone's book out there. I got knocked down a few pegs.
You're just a millennial. It's fine.
Yeah, totally. I know. I'm doomed to be a millennial forever.
I'm just messing with you. I'm on the cusp.
Until I have a generation below me, and then it'll be fine. Then I'll be the middle child.
Right.
So,
right.
So let's talk some Ravcock. What's your flavor?
What? What now?
What's your flavor?
It's our render segment. I've got a couple octane things. This is interesting. Something we're looking into at the moment. We're working on a project that has like a very different aspect ratio in cinema, and when you render, it looks slightly different than what you see in the viewport as far as size and like the camera, the way everything lines up, and therefore object buffers are not lining up as well. So I don't have an answer to that, but we're looking into why that happens. I think it has to do with the fact that it's like a different aspect ratio.
Yeah, I can offer up a little bit. I did so for that Dubai installation. There was a video wall that was like curving like this snake, and it was 8960 by 2160, and it's so funny. Yeah, it's so funny because like when I heard that, like in the room, they were just like, "Yeah, and we're gonna make a video playback on that," and I was like, "Okay, well, we can do it. We can do it with these formats," and they were like, "Well." Everything is programmed through a Google server, so it's going to be a web format. And I was like, oh. So then I got into WebM. Yeah, that's how I got into WebM and found that solution. Now, that was in 2 point something or another, and that is curious to me why it would be a little different with that with a long aspect ratio. Is it tall or long?
It's just slightly longer.
What? If it's slightly longer, then
it's just it looks a little bit different than the viewport. That's all. That's really all it is. I don't know why. So
maybe we can circle back to that, and I could help you guys out somehow. I don't know what I could do. Is if it's something that's written in there. Obviously, we don't have the C4D capabilities to help massage that back to where it needs to be, but. I can't say that 8960 by 2160, whatever ratio that is, seemed to work out pretty well. It was a pain in the ass, and it was bad. Wish I had Deadline at that time.
Yeah.
So I was just using the render queue. So, I would love to help dive into that because that's one of my passions is like, just I love to smash those barriers somehow. I've been lucky enough to find a solution most times, so I think we could do it.
Then we've got some links too. There's a lot of talk about GPU. First of all, GPU shipments fell by like 40% recently. I guess hopefully the cryptocurrency thing is dying off a little. We get some decent prices on some graphics cards. Yeah. And but the GeForce GTX 1180 specs are kind of sort of out there. There's some speculation and some rumor and some, I don't know if they're leaks or whatever, but
it's kind of impressive. It's pretty impressive as far as like CUDA core amount and stuff like that. I think it's like it's gone from like 28 on the 1080s to 35, like 3500, which is crazy. That's a huge jump.
Yeah. Well, if I may offer up a side note to how those models kind of work with NVIDIA and their prolific just updating their products. So, one of our international engineering firm clients is into electrical engineering, and they make products that actually go onto those cards. So this is probably as close to the butcher's mouth as we can get in terms of like why they do all of this stuff. So in a product release, say like the 980, right? We had the 980, and then we get like the 980 Ti, but we also have tiers of Maxwell cards that fall within, 780 to 1080. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know how that works? Yeah, we have ranges or whatever, and so like they basically have this architecture. And then they tier that to different product specifications of like price and cost and what it makes for them to make and manufacture. And then they actually tune those over time and then resell it. So when you get a 980, it's like the Maxwell architecture that's tiered to your price range, and that's going to be your specs or whatever. So then when 980 Ti actually is released, it's tuned ever so slightly because those resistors and like all the pathways and like the CUDA cores and like all this cool stuff, it's so small that like their team there is still tuning it to like be as efficient and performant as possible in a product cycle. So that's how I was kind of explain, in giving this information. So when all of these new products come out from NVIDIA, the stockholders love it, obviously, because there's more products, new hype, and all this stuff. But I don't necessarily. I love conversating about it, but when it comes to like a business purchase, that's why it made sense for me to go with like Deadline and AWS servers, because for us investing back into our companies, like I don't find it to be efficient every year to buy new hardware, unless there's a great leap, that makes sense. So you can imagine, and I know you guys are the same way, like pulling a trigger on like 16 new GPUs, or even just enough so I'm not bottlenecking myself on projects, doesn't seem efficient in anyone's stretch of the imagination, especially with the higher cost in bit currency and all of that going up with. That's a whole nother conversation. I think that's kind of whatever, but it affects us indirectly, and it really sucks that it impacts like our cost to get these new technologies so that we can do great stuff with them, So that really sucks. But I haven't looked into any specs, and I hope that maybe in the next year I can drum up enough in the bank just to be like, okay, I'm going to replace this, and this. But for me, I'm really interested in what they're doing, like on the enterprise level with what is the crazy thing that they're doing with the servers now, the DX or whatever it's called?
You're asking the wrong person.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's like the NVIDIA D something or another, DGX2. So if you want to buy those, you can get one for the low price of $164,986.46. Yeah. So like
I'll take
it's unattainable. Yeah, exactly. Two, please, and rush delivery. Yeah. But it's unattainable in terms of like software is catching up. We have new techniques when it comes to offline rendering. So kind of projects, I would rather just pay Amazon or these guys who have the FU money that can buy like these servers. I don't know. I guess I'm speaking too economically, but as a consumer, I'm like 1180 sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys? How do you guys feel about that?
I'm excited to get rid of my 980 Ti's and move on to something
11,
a little bit. Yeah. Like we've got four 1080s in one of our machines, but I would love to upgrade them all to 1180s or something at one point. Something get them all on the same wavelength, and then I don't know. But it is a huge investment. I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cards that we would need to upgrade.
And you have to literally seriously run a cost analysis on your guys' business and be like, is this even going to be great for us, or is it just going to be okay for us? Or is it,
and how much money would we have to spend? I mean, if you're talking $700 a card times 12, that's $8,400.
You just have to roll it out slowly.
Right there.
One machine at a time.
Yeah, but by the time you get them all paid off, then the 1280s come out.
Right. So that's where I would rather bill that to the client, and I would have an efficient setup here to push out images if I do have the time available to create images for a client. So, like I can sit down with a client and say, this is your demands and here's the render cost. And if I do this with the AWS servers, you're only going to pay $200, whereas I'm going to take that off the overhead and expense where I would plan to upgrade my farm, and it's going to save them money in terms of overhead costs for me just to land the gig.
The AWS, are you using GPU or CPU?
You can use both.
Okay.
And you literally just go in and you grab an infrastructure of servers, and you designate your licenses. So say I'm a Maya Redshift user. They have an image that will literally copy to like 40 different servers for you that are just sitting there in a warehouse in Ohio or wherever you're selecting these from. And then it just blasts that boot up image on those servers, and then you render your jobs and you get them locally on your NAS repository or wherever, And so it's literally, it's so elastic. I'm telling you, it's like, and I haven't been able to, I will soon have like a comparison of costs, because this project that I was on, I spent a fortune rendering through Pixel Plow, Ranch Computing. You and I talked about it that one time.
I hate Ranch Computing.
Yeah. But anyways, Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to like take my client. I don't want to present that bill to my client when they want what they see from their end is this isn't exactly what we need, especially for like a big trade show. You know, if there's something sorely wrong there, I don't want to eat costs, and they don't want to eat costs. They just want it done. So, you know, I would rather approach them and be like, yeah, it was $200 for rendering fees instead of thousands, you know, because I use this service or whatever. So
what's the cost on the AWS GPU servers?
So if you just created an infrastructure, and I ran this cost estimator that they actually have as a button that you can click, and if you had an AWS server with the infrastructure of 6 servers, which is hard to measure in terms of benchmarking what that would do for you, but that was still only $584 or $548 for a whole month just to have that sitting there. Yeah, just to have it sitting there. You don't even have to throw jobs on it.
And that's so a server. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out like a Octane bench score or like a Cinebench score.
Well, the good thing is that you can run Cinebench on those servers. They already have it installed, and you can do Cinebench on those servers and see what it is compared to your farm. Yeah. And you can use your local licenses and ship those out to AWS servers and use them there. So I have 6 Redshift licenses and 6 Deadline licenses. So I could literally forward those to the 6 servers that I would rent for $548 a month. And they would just be using my licenses, and I just send them jobs.
So for basically $550, you're renting out 5 more computers or whatever.
6 more.
6 more computers.
Yeah,
that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
It's not, and they tier it by large, medium, and small. So I think in that roundup, I had 3 large, 2 medium, and 1 small, or something like that. And I plan to like get this in a digestible way in a video to put it out there. So in the future, I will have better cost estimations and analysis on this, because it's very important to not eat costs when you're on jobs. And
for sure.
As anyone, you know, as anyone who's over 5 years of doing it on their own would be like, yes, I like what I'm hearing.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah,
that's interesting. That's super interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe someday. I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'll try to get it out as soon as possible. And like I said, I'm gonna be working with the Amazon and ThinkBox teams to make sure that video is good information, because I'm very, very picky about that. So I'm trying to do a little bit better on putting good stuff out there. Really, really good stuff. So
cool.
Yeah, man.
I don't know where Dave went.
Yeah, Dave? What's going on, man?
I don't know. I think he's sick.
If he literally is, that sucks.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, poor Dave.
Dave, we miss you wherever you are.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about something else. While we're waiting Dave to get back, because he didn't send me the show notes.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have no idea where he's going from here.
Well, my doggy, we can talk about anything you want. You into the SNES Classic?
Yes.
And
dude,
for anyone watching, I have on my Castlevania shirt.
Oh yeah.
So immediately we were like, okay, well, we're in good company too. But
totally.
Yeah, I mean, it's just cool to be in game engines, because I've always been naturally curious through video games about graphics. So it's really cool to say for my job that I can watch like Naughty Dog talk about their rendering techniques or whatever. And make that excuse and tell my friends, it's like, no, it's for work, man. It's for work. I'm watching this for work, and then we can hang out or whatever.
Liam was asking what the transfer speed for AWS is.
Oh, dude, it's great. I don't have the actual specifics.
Hey, he's back.
What's up?
Sorry,
but in a few minutes.
I'm not well.
Oh my gosh, well. Dude! I'm so sorry.
Physically and emotionally.
No, yeah, I think I may be getting pneumonia. This Maxon crud is evolving.
It's evolving.
So, yeah,
evolved into something greater.
Dude, it's so sorry.
It's grabbed a mega stone, or what is it? I don't know. A thunderstone, and it's evolving.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I hate being sick, so I feel you, bud.
Did y'all run out of things to talk about while I was gone?
Almost. We started talking video games, but then Liam asked a question.
Oh.
As far as transfer speeds, like I know PixelPlow, he was mentioning like compared to downloading from PixelPlow, like PixelPlow to me is like mega super fast, versus Ranch Computing. Ranch Computing sucks balls, and so like, how is the speed comparisons for AWS versus in comparison to some of those?
I'll have a better kind of estimation of that, but I know just creating an infrastructure takes less than 6 minutes to create an infrastructure. And that's literally just them on their portal, rounding up the available servers and creating this image for you. And then
you have to transfer all your stuff through your NAS onto, does that handle it within?
No. You don't even have to do that.
You don't?
No, your AWS asset server connects to your repository. So wherever for instance, I won't go into too many details because hopefully the video will go over it, but I didn't have it set up as a universal naming convention on my NAS. So once I did that with the support from Amazon and ThinkBox, once that remote connection is connected, it's like you don't even see anything happening. It's literally like you just expanded your own local farm. That's how it feels. So when you see jobs completing, when you see images completing, they're there in your NAS and they're there on your server.
Wow.
It's wizard technology, and it's the people from Amazon who are making this happen. I mean,
and the prices that you were paying, are those just for for additional like CPU computers, or are you using them specifically for GPU rendering?
I believe that's just for creating the infrastructure and just literally having that ready in your monitor, because your monitor, meaning like the actual or the program that you use to send the jobs and monitor the jobs. So if I walked away and forgot to delete my infrastructure after I was done using it, that would be the cost of it just sitting there. So
okay,
and it's ready to go. It's like they were sitting here in my office. So being super elastic and having usage based licensing, USB or whatever, just having or UBL or whatever they have it labeled as is USB. It's fantastic because you can just shop how your project and your client wants to shop. You can tailor it, so you're not locked in. And PixelPlow and all these other services are great. Like, I don't want that to seem like this is the way to go, but for people who just need sheer
local
power,
you
could literally rent out 40 servers.
Local, technically, but
yeah, you could literally rent out 40 to. I don't even know if I don't know if there's a limit on how many servers that you can rent out. Obviously, your cost estimator would go up if you have like 120 servers or whatever. Right. But like, to me, if your client can pay for it and you're doing this as a full-time gig, and you can present those costs to them in a professional manner and let them know up front what is going on and what you're doing, I can't see any other service being more beneficial for you when it is your butt on the line in front of a client. That's a big client. So and someone who can't offer compassion for, well, I forgot to turn on this button, so this thing isn't showing up. You know what I mean? Like, some clients are like, okay, that's cool. Like, you get it to me when it's done. But some of these international clients I deal with, it's like, if I don't have it by that date, like, there are so many people who are out on that, and so that's when it becomes very demanding.
Yeah.
Brad. All right, Dave, what's next on the list? You never sent me the notes.
Oh, well, I put them in the dingus.
Yeah, but I can't go to the dingus without losing my video.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, let's do a little bit of Beeple's People before we get out of here. How about that?
Let's do it.
All right.
I'm ready.
So, first of all, I'd like to say there's this link somebody did on cgcookie.com. They did an artist study of Beeple for like an hour and 40 minutes. It's kind of like doing Beeple's People. It's funny. But if you go to your Beeple viewer of choice and you go to...
Which Beeple just updated his website. Oh yeah, Beeple crap. Beep.
Beeple.
You go to beeple.com, it says Beepets.
Go to April 12th, Year of our Lord 2018. This is called Go Back Underground.
Every days. That's what I want. Ooh, he's got a nice website. Nice new website.
Yeah.
So this is
which day did you say?
April 12th, Year of our Lord 2018.
Going back. Didn't we do this one already?
No, we didn't.
Or is this another
this is another one.
We did.
We did another giant something.
I love the insect stuff.
Oh yeah, there was another giant insect.
So, but it says go back underground. So this is like, I'm thinking that this is like the little people's people are having an issue with like the regular sized bugs. In this planet.
Maybe this whole thing of bugs or whatever have gotten into the Beeple plier, the Beeple multiplier, right?
Plier.
Yeah, that multiplies the size of the small Beeple people to the big Beeple people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like there's an infestation of these little things that keep on getting in, and so they've got to go and find them.
So is this friend or foe? This insect.
Good question.
I think he is just a generic insect. So like,
I mean, that guy doesn't look very scared.
No, I think that's the same guy who gave up in the guys who are all attacking him. Like I think that was just straight up taken from him.
Oh, the same model?
Yeah.
Oh. And then let's see.
People, the website looks great, dude. By the way.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
April 14th, depleted lithium.
Oh, I saw this on Instagram and I thought it was badass.
Yeah.
I dig it. I dig the vibes.
So the whole lithium thing, is it like this is some sort of robot that needs some more lithium to survive? I don't know.
Look, there's a little Beeple people down there. Is this a big Beeple people who is trying to attack this, and then they killed it off before it could?
I don't know. There's a little astronaut.
Yeah.
On there, Beeple astronaut.
Right.
So maybe.
Well.
Yeah, I like that theory. Maybe he stopped midway because they shut him down. He didn't have any lithium left in his battery.
Yeah. So lithium is like what the lightest. Isn't it like a light metal when you like boil it down? So
I have no idea. I think it's a liquid metal.
Liquid metal, yeah. I think when it's like cast, it's like a very light metal.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like in the future, if they're depleted out of lithium, they can't build these structures anymore or something.
Maybe.
Because that, to me, like just from my engineering background, like making something that's attached to a building like that, it's like, was that already scathed, or like where is that even coming from?
And then we have April 25th output level. This is,
the Blast Master or whatever it is.
Yeah, what is it
Master
called?
Blaster. I can't remember.
Ghetto Blaster.
The Ghetto Blaster, that's what it is.
Yeah. More of the giant cassette tape deals.
I like
with
it.
Like a little motherboard going on there. The motherboard doesn't have a CPU though, like in it, or anything else for that matter. So that's interesting.
It makes me cringe thinking about all those shows that I used to go to when I was younger, and like standing in front of the stage and like seeing that netted like speaker. Like it just makes me feel like I'm gonna go deaf.
Yeah, seriously.
But he looks unscathed. He looks like he's all right.
I think that's actually, that might be Mike's scan of himself. I bet you anything that's him.
I don't know.
No? You don't think so?
Can't tell. No.
All right.
All right. Well, we're gonna get out of here.
Dave's gonna go barf a few more times.
I'm not feeling too great. You can rate us on iTunes, leave a review. You can also subscribe to us on your podcatcher of choice, and subscribe to our newsletter. Check out our shirts. We got the No Brograph, No Mograph tee, the Paul Babb 2020 shirt, the Render Things shirts, and all the other shirts. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, YouTube and Brograph.com. So we appreciate you being on. You got to come back on again. Once I get into this Unity stuff, I'm going to have a million questions. So you're going to have to come on and super geek out with me on Unity. So
I can't wait. I can't wait. I want to talk more about graphics in Unity. So SRP is super exciting. I'm all about it, man. Thank you. Many thanks to both of you. You guys are great.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah.
Until next week, I'm Dave.
I'm Matt.
Have a good one.
Later, bros.
All right.
Woo. Dave, you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right.
You dying?
Yeah, man, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Let me shoot this out to you guys, too.
Awesome. Good episode, dude.
I'm so thankful to be on, so thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah, it was super fun. I really dig talking to you guys. You guys are sweet dudes.
Aw, appreciate it.
Well, what happened to my restream? This is interesting. Okay, we're technically still live.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cut this feed here instead.
I didn't